Hi, I'm Russ Mascari, past Commodore of the Marine Corps League of Lake Havasu City and Havasu Freedom Foundation board member. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Havasu Memorial Walkway is designed to honor those who provide our freedoms or any loved ones. The Havasu Memorial Walkway is a combined effort of the Havasu Freedom Foundation, the Marine Corps League, and our city. The Freedom Foundation started over a decade ago with the mission of honoring veterans and beautifying the walkway along the Bridgewater Channel. This year, our dedication ceremony honors the pioneers of Lake Havasu City. They were visionaries who saw the potential of a beautiful lake and desert. We invite you to visit the Havasu Memorial Walkway along the channel in the village under the historic London Bridge. This historic path of memories will be here for many generations to enjoy.
Lord, we thank you for those whom we call our pioneers, these men and women who came to our city to settle within our desert. Isaiah 43:19, behold, I will do something new. Now it will spring forth. Will you not be aware of it? I will make a roadway in the wilderness, rivers in the desert. Lord, you brought them here to give us their strength, knowledge, abilities to create our cities with your blessing. Lord, we give them and their family thanks for creating a future for us to enjoy through the comforts and the compassion of Christ who loves them. Lord, teach us to fully appreciate these men and women who have dedicated their time in our behalf. We ask this in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Hello, I'm Mayor Cal Sheehy, and I'm standing on the Havasu Memorial Walkway, located next to the beautiful Bridgewater Channel under the iconic world-famous London Bridge in Lake Havasu City. Today marks yet another significant milestone at the Havasu Memorial Walkway. The Havasu Memorial Walkway is one of the many ways that we honor those who provide for our freedoms, past and present. It is also a way to honor our valuable citizens, family, friends, students, and significant historical moments in our country and community. The Freedom Foundation started over a decade ago with the mission of honoring our veterans and beautifying the walkway along the Bridgewater Channel. Havasu Memorial Walkway honors veterans, Navajo code talkers of World War II, first responders, family members, and friends. And today we unveil the most recent edition that honors and pays tribute to Lake Havasu City's original pioneers, our city's first residents. There is no better way to kick off the upcoming 50th anniversary of the dedication of the London Bridge than with the unveiling of over 700 newly installed engraved bricks in honor of loved ones, including this year's special section of history laid into the walkway in honor of our original Havasu pioneers. These citizens forged the way and embraced adventure and the unknown, and settled into a place that was the start of a small desert community. Our community's earliest citizens had to roll up their sleeves and help build this community, literally stone by stone, brick by brick, road by road, and home by home. Following in the dream and vision of our city's founder, Robert P. McCulloch, our pioneers did what it took to build this great city that we call home, Lake Havasu City. Our pioneers served with acts of kindness to all and have been great stewards for this community throughout the years. Our pioneers paved the way by building families, homes, and businesses here. And the Lake Havasu City of today is forever grateful for the works of our founder and our pioneers. This walkway also includes a series of bricks of the history of freedom in America. As you stroll along the walkway, we are reminded of not only our brave veterans who protected our country, but our forefathers with the 76 moments of history weaved throughout the walkway. This walkway is made possible by great partnerships in our community. I would like to thank the Havasu Freedom Foundation, the Marine Corps League Detachment 757, and City Crews for their hard work and ongoing dedication to this project. I would also like to thank our community for their continued support and contribution to the walkway, and thank the Marine Corps League and the London Bridge Rotary Club for their efforts in keeping the legacy going. In the next few minutes, you will hear from some of our community's original pioneers. Enjoy.
This is Buck Dobbs speaking. I'm honored that my friend Tony Trembly asked me to share her words with you. Hello, and welcome to this video ceremony to celebrate the dedication of the Pioneers section of bricks presented by the Havasu Freedom Foundation. I am sorry we cannot meet in person, but I'm sure you will enjoy this online presentation of the ceremony. The Freedom Foundation is so well organized and did an amazing job. My name is Tony Trembly Aide. I moved to this beautiful city as a teenager in 1971. I went to school here, graduated here, got married here, and had my babies here. I am the current president of the official Lake Havasu Pioneers. I have served in this position for over 10 years, but I couldn't do it alone. I'd like to thank Dee Alexander and Gene Steele for all their guidance and always being by my side. I also run the Lake Havasu High School Pioneer class reunions for the 70 to 76 graduates. When Play Like You Mean It was being considered as the tagline for Havasu, many people were upset. I was asked by Jay Coombs to be on the committee that went before the City Council for almost 2 years, stating our case, that Home of the London Bridge should be the city's permanent motto instead. We were so happy when we won. The staff even put Home of the London Bridge on the entry signs coming into the city. So you can see keeping Lake Havasu's history alive and the people together is a very big part of my life. But enough about me. I'm honored to be speaking to you and representing the official Havasu Pioneers. The Pioneers are a small group of people who became the first residents of Lake Havasu City. We are a humble group, but very proud of our roots. Let me explain who we are. In order to be an official pioneer, you must have moved here between 1963 and 1973. That was the period of time when Havasu experienced its most explosive growth. When I moved here in 1971, I felt the city was already established by then compared to what it must have been like for those who arrived in the 60s. Those early residents were true pioneers and even chose a covered wagon as their symbol. Oh, I could rattle off statistics like in 1970 there were 2,500 residents. But instead, let me paint you a little picture of life back then. We came with little more than a dream. The only thing we had in common was that everyone here was new. Starting with a dirt floor, we built this town, one home, one store, and one family at a time. We had nothing, yet we had everything. Neighbors took care of each other and knew each other's kids' names, and where everyone worked, we supported each other. When we gathered our pioneer reunions, everyone is so happy to see their old friends and share their stories. The stories are amazing, like the one about the teacher who moved here with his young family. His house wasn't finished yet, so they had to live on a small boat for over 2 weeks until they could move into their home. Another pioneer remembers that everything had to be brought into town by Melanie Truck Lines. She notes that the frozen stuff had to be unloaded first because the truck wasn't refrigerated. In fact, most of the homes and businesses didn't even have air conditioning. They were kept cool using swamp coolers. There was an old meeting hall on the island at the old airport, only it wasn't an island then, it was a peninsula called Pittsburgh Point. The meeting hall was used for everything, for churches of all denominations, town meetings, and even school. Clay pools became a social hotspot as Arnold Plaza began to grow. The Nautical Inn was the place to be in the summer. We could look out over the channel and point out which house was ours, which wasn't too hard because there weren't very many in those days. The Mundell family said they opened their Mundell Drive-In just so kids would have a place to hang out together. We finally got a hospital, but before that, babies were born in doctor's offices, or you had to go out of town. Once the bridge was completed, it became the best place in town to hang out. The old fish and chips and the pub were two of the best restaurants. These attractions under the bridge gave many pioneers their first jobs. The bridge provided much entertainment too. Now, most big events were held there. These events included graduation, prom, weddings, London Bridge Days. Was really something to behold back then. There was always some kind of performance on stage and crowds of people to appreciate it. There are so many stories like this. I hope the next time you hear someone say they are a pioneer, you stop them and ask them to tell you about the good old days. There's only a small amount of people in the United States that can claim They were forefathers to a new town, so you can see why they are so protective and proud to be the Lake Havasu Pioneers. I remember when the Freedom Foundation Committee approached us and asked if we wanted to do a Pioneer section of bricks. We were so excited. We consider this the highest honor the town has ever bestowed upon the pioneers. And our response to them was a big yes. We knew there would be an overwhelming number of pioneers that wanted to be a part of this. The pioneers are now 5 generations deep. Many of the younger generations honored forefathers by getting them a brick or getting a brick that had the business they owned. We feel that besides the McCulloch family, this town cannot be credited to any one person. It was the camaraderie of everyone coming together, everyone doing their big or small parts. That's what makes this brick path so special. It represents a true pioneer story, one name at a time, but all together. Each brick tells its story, and we are all proud to be part of this living history. Although we cherish our memories of the unique pioneer days, we are proud of how much our town has grown. Whether you moved here 50 years ago or today, we can all call Lake Havasu our home. It's still a beautiful, friendly, and a wonderful place to live and raise our families. As president of the Pioneers, I express my deep gratitude for each of the early residents and the parts they played. Without these brave settlers, this town would not have happened. And without these bricks, the history would not have been so personalized and captured to tell the story to all of us. We are very grateful to have had this opportunity to write history in stone. I look forward to seeing many of you at our next Pioneer or high school reunion. Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Michael McCulloch. I am the grandson of Robert McCulloch, founder of Lake Havasu City. And I wanted to say a few words regarding the latest installation of the Havasu Memorial Walkway, which honors the Havasu Pioneers. Without the Havasu Pioneers, Lake Havasu City wouldn't be what it is today. So it's fitting and important that they be honored. Most of the pioneers had to pick up stakes from somewhere else that they were living. Actually, I think all of them probably did. And came out to Havasu for various reasons. Some came out because they moved out with the new McCulloch plant that was being built. Some came out just simply because they saw that it was a beautiful place to live, saw the lake, saw the city, and thought this would be a great place to be. But majority of the people that moved out there, the original pioneers, came out because they saw opportunity. The opportunity to be kind of a big fish in a small pond, whether it was to be one of the first doctors or one of the first grocery store owners, one of the first pharmacists, builders, pool supply, air conditioning repair. There was a tremendous amount of opportunity if you were one of the original pioneers that came out to this fledgling city in the middle of the desert. And so I think it's very, very appropriate that they be honored in the way they are with the bricks that are being laid, I believe, this week. My own personal story is my father bought a house at the corner of Smoke Tree and Cliff Rose in the late 60s. It was originally owned by Fred Schumacher, who was one of the first mayors of Lake Havasu City. And my Uncle Bob owned the house next door, one in from Cliff Rose, and one in from Smoke Tree rather, on Cliff Rose. And when he found out that Fred Schumacher was selling the house, then he immediately called my dad and said, you got to buy this house. So what ended up happening is the wall came down between the two houses. We shared a backyard, we shared a swimming pool. I have really, really fond memories of coming out as a kid and playing with my cousins and going out in the lake and all that type of stuff. The other thing I would for sure say is when my dad moved there from Los Angeles, I think a lot of people thought, you're going from Los Angeles to this small town kind of in the middle of nowhere. I think they thought it was sort of crazy, but like the rest of the people that were pioneers that went out there, my dad saw opportunity. He bought the marina in 1971, and then from that point forward, he lived there permanently. But he forged friendships for the rest of his life in Lake Havasu during those early years that were probably the strongest that he ever made. And these were people that he went hunting with, fishing with. We did family vacations. There's something to say about the social fabric that gets created in a small town like Lake Havasu is and was back then, because everybody was close. Your neighbors are close. You could walk to their houses half the time. There were potlucks. backyard barbecues, golfing, fishing, boating. There's just so much stuff to do as a community. So the pioneers are the original people who made it out there. Majority of them stayed there for the rest of their lives, and in many, many cases, their families are now there and have continued on the tradition. So I think it's very fitting that these pioneers are being honored in the Havasu Memorial Walkway, and I look forward to going down and seeing these bricks in person. And I believe there's over 700 of them, so it'll take a while to go through them, but I really look forward to seeing it in person. Thank you.
My name is Dodie Lee Heapus. I've been in Lake Havasu City for going on 49 years come this September. In the spring of 1972, my doctor said, "Go west, young lady, and live." So he gave us this little piece of paper that says, "Go try this airplane ride." So it brought us to Lake Havasu City, and we looked around, and of course we were fishermen and boaters and golfers. What a beautiful haven to come to. So we went back home, sold our house, packed up the kids, packed up the dog. 2,700 miles later, we are in Lake Havasu City. The first anniversary of the London Bridge, not too many places to rent. A nice lady by the name of Betty Beaudenay offered her converted garage. We stayed there for about 3 days. My girlfriend's parents found us, and they took us under their wing for 2 weeks, and we finally found a house over on Sunflower. Now it's time to get to work, get the kids to school, and find work is the clue. I ended up cleaning houses, taking in laundry. My husband worked for McCulloch Properties as a security guard. And we just went on that. We took care of the San Juan apartments, the 30 units, for about 4 years. Then in 1979, I went to work for McCulloch Chainsaw Factory. That same year, we purchased a house on Holly Ave. And the McCulloch factory was a family. I truly enjoyed working there. It was a wonderful place to work. It was one big, happy family. As the time went on, like anything else, the world is changing. By late November, we realized that something was happening. By December of 1999, the company was closing. So it was a big, big void in all of our lives. There are families who came in there to work for McCulloch from California. And some of them were still in their early 20s. A lot of the people who worked for McCulloch worked there, like myself, 20 years. Some worked 30, 40, 60 years. And there was one big happy family, and they enjoyed it. So now we're at a loss, and people were sad. But the company made it possible to teach these people new endeavors. They sent them to school to learn different trades. I myself went to work for the city, not the city, I'm sorry, but for the school district. And I worked for Daytona School. It was a educational assistant for special ed. I worked for the school district for 8 years. In between working at Burger King nights, my husband decided he wanted to become a fishing guide, so someone had to kind of pick up the slack. So it was fine. We had a very lucrative business. We opened up a bait and tackle and golf store, so we were entrepreneurs. Havasu, to me, is my haven. It made me feel well. I enjoyed the people who were here, and they came from all over the United States. And we were all big, happy people here. Only about 6,000 people here when I came in 72. But it was an enjoyable place. Everybody knew each other. Everybody had a good time. And before you know it, it was time to go on. We went one time to the Pioneers reunion. Those were the people from 1963 to 73. So we were at one of their doings, and I said to my friend, I wonder where all of the other McCulloch people are. As we looked around the room, there was 1, there was 2, there was 4, there was 5. So we decided that year to put on the McCulloch Chainsaw reunion. We had 200 people, and they were all willing. They haven't seen each other for 6 years. So this was 2006. And they were so happy to see each other and talked about old times and good times. And then we decided that we were going to have it every other year. I love Havasu. We weren't quite sure when we came from upstate New York. It was a different territory, different kind of climate, but you adjusted. And I loved it. We had the lake, we had fishing, boating, golf, and everybody was happy. And we're still here At the end of this year, I'll be here 49 years, and I truly love it. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
With this latest addition to the Havasu Memorial Walkway, we are dedicating 720 bricks, the largest number ever installed at one time. Most were donated in honor of the Havasu Pioneers. Each brick has a story behind it. Actually, many stories. My name is Buck Dopp. I'm the third generation of my family to live in Havasu. My grandparents, Roy and Mildred Dopp, visited on a McCulloch flight from Des Moines, Iowa, and bought a lot. My father and his wife, Ron and Darlene Dopp, retired here. So did my uncle Roy and his wife, Ione. Stephanie and I retired here in 2009. For the last 7 years, as a freelance writer for the Today's News Herald, I've written over 180 stories about people in Lake Havasu, many of them pioneers. I'm grateful to the editors, Brandon Bowers and Pam Ashley, for giving me these opportunities to research and write about these Havasu heroes. As I chronicled various pioneers and their histories, the late great Butch Wood, a docent for the Havasu Museum, was a phenomenal resource. Butch was a walking, talking encyclopedia of Havasu and a treasure to all who knew him. I'm indebted to Jan Cassis, who is not only a terrific historian of our city, but he spices his stories with humor, love, and a twinkle in his eye. I've interviewed Havasu's first football coach, Lee Barnes, and his lovely wife, Millie. Coach Barnes' team was undefeated in its first year, despite having to play home games at the sod farm on Site 6. I spoke with the famous movie star Michael Biehn, who earned varsity letters in football and basketball at Lake Havasu High School and worked as a handyman for the Nautical Inn. I went to the McCulloch Chainsaw Reunion, organized and led by Dodie Lee Heapus. She's the Energizer Bunny. The ex-employees shared with me many stories. They're still a family after all these years. I wrote about Pastor Richard Tatham, the longest-serving clergyman in Havasu, over 52 years. He designed those 3 geodesic domes on Jamaica. I interviewed Dan and Mary De Los Santos. Dan has the most spectacular bar I've ever seen. It's also a museum of historical artifacts. I get history lessons from many pioneers, including Martha Gladwin, Joni Webster, Lyle and Stellene Madstorff, Margie Sterling, Pat Rooney, Jim Leeson, Pam Short, Bob Childress, and Telus' founder and principal, Sandy Breeze. Sandy was a 22-year-old junior at ASU, clothed in an old English black and white maid uniform when she waited on tables at the London Bridge dedication in 1971. Last summer, Gary Myers asked me to write the pioneer essay for the large brick we are unveiling today on behalf of the Havasu Freedom Foundation. After I submitted the first draft, Gary and other members of the foundation and several pioneers suggested revisions to improve the wording. I appreciated their comments and incorporated most of their suggestions, each of which made the essay better. We revised it about 16 times until our team agreed on the final version, and here it is. Between 1963 and 73, the pioneers settled in Lake Havasu City. They share the same frontier spirit of founder Robert P. McCulloch Sr. These trailblazers boated on Lake Havasu and socialized at card games and potlucks. Hundreds worked in the McCulloch Chainsaw Factory, mass producing the lightest chainsaws in the world. These hardy pioneers reassembled the London Bridge, which became the second busiest attraction in Arizona, next to the Grand Canyon. The pioneers bonded in friendship as they built schools, raised families, started businesses, and established churches. They shared the humbling experience of creating a thriving oasis in the Arizona desert. On lots they shared with snakes, scorpions, and burros. In closing, if your parents are pioneers, I encourage you to interview them. Ask them questions. Record them on your smartphones. Because each brick has a story behind it. And those stories should not be forgotten. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brian Zimitel. I'm on the Havasu Freedom Foundation board member, and we are here at the Havasu Memorial Walkway. And if you look here upon this walkway, you see all these gift bricks. They're to honor people's loved ones and friends and family members. And it goes to a great cause, and it goes to the Marine Corps League and other fine foundations. And one of the things is, when you come to the Havasu Freedom Walkway, is you'll see the 76 Moments of Freedom. And this is an attraction for all people that come down to the bridge to, as they walk on this fine walkway, is they can read the history of the United States, told by local students. We have, periodically, we have essay contests that tells the freedom of the United States and how, in each of these moments, it's not every moment, but we picked a list, we made a list of 76 moments that best demonstrate the advancement of freedom in America. And so if you look, we start here with the founding of America, and we're going to move our way up to the present. We also have other themed bricks as well, and other essays, such as the Navajo Code Talkers brick. We have the First Responders brick, and we also have one for the Pioneers, and that's what we're celebrating this week. And so I hope that you Pioneers enjoy the walkway. And I'd like to share with you our winning student essay writer. This is Mackenzie Zemetel, and she wrote the essay for the next brick lane, the next history brick. And it is, the topic is the battles of Lexington and Concord and how those advanced the cause of freedom. And Mackenzie won a scholarship for $500 that she could apply to her education, and that's from the Marine Corps League. And I would like to invite her to kindly read her essay to you, and I'm sure hopefully you'll enjoy it.
Just after dawn, the shot heard round the world was fired in the towns of Lexington and Concord, Massachusetts. It was later memorialized by Ralph Waldo Emerson's Concord Hymn. By the rude bridge that arched the flood, their flag to April's breeze unfurled. Here once the embattled farmers stood and fired the shot heard round the world. To this day, it is still not known who fired the first shot, but it put America on the path of freedom. With British troops pushed back to Boston, America's legacy began in a way that still inspires and upholds our country's optimism and great American spirit.
Well, on behalf of the Freedom Foundation, I want to thank the Pioneers for establishing this wonderful city that we live. My family loves living here, and we love working here, and we really have you to thank for this wonderful, beautiful city. So thank you, Pioneers. I hope you enjoy the walkway. Thank you.
Blessings of the brick. Lord, bless these bricks and names inscribed on them as they are placed on the memorial walkway. May they last for many generations in gratitude of those we honor today. Lord, may our children's children who view this memorial walkway do so with pride. May each brick bring awareness of the commitments, sacrifices made by those who came before us. Lord, may those who live here continue to bring a future that welcomes others into our community. We ask this in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.